throughout this year, since about January onwards, there's actually been recorded activity at Mount Merapi that's been fairly consistent, certainly not on a scale of what we've seen over the past couple of days, but it has been active for most of this year. And a volcanologist that I spoke to just in the last hour or so said you cannot forecast these sorts of eruptions accurately. And for that reason, it's not a huge surprise that it erupted in this way. But clearly it was a surprise to the 70 or so hikers who were on the mountain on Sunday afternoon when this eruption began. Most of them, about 50, were either able to get down safely or were rescued on that first day. Another 3 were rescued on Monday morning, but then that terrible news about 11 bodies being identified by rescue crews. And there are still 12 more people, Bev, who are unaccounted for.
Yeah. So 12 people still unaccounted for. Are they searching, or is that not possible at this point?
So we've seen videos from the search crews on Mount Merapi. They're basically sheltering in sort of what they kind of call a safe camp because of a few issues. One, it appears to be rainy weather there at the moment, so this can exacerbate the problems with all the ash in the air. Secondly, the eruption is continuing today. It wasn't just one and done on Sunday. The volcano is continuing to spew ash high up into the air, falling down on the mountain and in the surrounding areas. There is an exclusion zone of 3 kilometres in place, but for those rescue crews, they're clearly exempt from that. But they're on the mountain and basically unable to move around as much as they'd like to because of the risk of falling ash and because of the rainfall. So for that reason, we've even seen videos, Bev, where rescue teams can spot bodies further up the mountain, but at this point they are unable to go up there and retrieve them.
Now, we know that the 11 people who died had been very badly burnt. Are there the others that have got to safety? Do we know if they have been burnt too? Are there, do we know what their injuries might be like?
Yeah, of the 50 or so climbers or trekkers who were able to get out of there, about 8 of them at least have suffered some form of burns. We actually saw a really, I guess you'd say, horrific video of a woman who subsequently died. So it's been going around social media. You don't want to see it, but she recorded herself obviously on the mountain. She was covered in ash. It wasn't clear from the quality of the video if she was suffering burns as well. She was trying to talk to the camera. The main point is she was clearly struggling to talk, most likely because she'd inhaled so much of the ash in the air. So there are multiple risks to people's health, and you can see for that reason, Bev, for those remaining 12 climbers who are unaccounted for, there are really, really grave fears for their safety.
Yeah, particularly, as you say, if the eruptions continue. Is this a volcano usually walked by locals or more international tourists?
This is where it gets a little bit confusing, Bev. There are 2 Mount Merapis in Indonesia. There is one that's a little bit more famous here in Java. That one is also an active volcano, but this is Mount Merapi in Sumatra, West Sumatra. It is the most active volcano on that island, so it still draws a lot of tourists, primarily Indonesian tourists. According to the list of names of people who registered with local authorities, all of them were Indonesians or are Indonesians, although a local official has said that not everybody climbing the mountain registered in advance. It is conceivable that there are others unaccounted for who they don't know about, but at this point there's nothing to suggest that there are any foreign tourists among those who embarked on that weekend hike.
And Bill, do we know if the local rescuers are getting support from outside, and particularly potentially medical support?
Yeah, so there is quite a coordinated effort at the moment for higher level authorities to get medical supplies to that area in West Sumatra. There are local clinics there, although probably not the most top-notch medical facilities in Indonesia. You would find those in bigger cities like Medan in Sumatra. So for some of those people who have suffered burns, it's quite likely they will be taken to hospital elsewhere. Then, of course, you've got, as I said, the 12 missing climbers. whatever state they are in, if they are hopefully found, it's quite likely they will need medical treatment as well. There are villages and there are communities living around that area. We have seen pictures of crops and roads and cars covered in volcanic ash, Bev. But at this point, we're just not clear for how many more days is this eruption going to continue.
Yeah. Bill, we'll continue to watch this. Good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Bev.